to the very first video on my brand new channel, Locky Does Tech. That's me, let's do some tech. Last week on my vlog channel, we did a video about the brand new, much anticipated GoPro drone called the GoPro Karma. This week, DJI, who have been the market leaders in drone technology, have fought back with a new product launch called the DJI MAVIC Pro, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, people are already talking about these foldable drones, and I prefer to call them adventure drones, because that's really what you're doing with it. With my drones, my trusty DJI Phantom 3 Professional here, it lives in this great big case that is well protected, and I carry it around everywhere whenever I go out hiking up the hills or whatever. I don't know if you can see it on there, I've got a blister there on the finger from actually carrying this case up hills and mountains and wherever I go. So they've got these new smaller drones where the legs fold in, and I'm going to call them adventure drones because they're for people who are going on their adventures. So DJI have just announced this new MAVIC Pro. It's going to be available from October the 15th, which is a full week before you can go into a shop and buy a GoPro Karma. But it's not all about DJI versus Karma. Now, before we get into all the technicalities about it, I want to tell you that DJI have just announced this new drone has a 24-core processor system. What does that mean? It means it's basically got the computer system of something crazy. Imagine a woman washing the dishes and doing the ironing whilst reverse parking a car. It's just that busy. I'm going to get in so much trouble for saying that. A lot of people expected DJI to sort of dampen down on the features of this and wondered if it would be a step between the DJI Phantom 3 and the DJI Phantom 4. However, they've actually introduced new features, and one of them is gesture control. And this means once you've launched your drone and it's up in the air in front of you, you can tap on your phone or your controller to be gesture mode, and you can tell it to do things like, you know, take a picture, fly away, stuff like that. I don't know the full amount of gestures, but it's pretty cool if you were like hiking on a mountain on a ledge and you really haven't got time to be messing around with a controller, framing up the shot. You tell the drone where to go, take a picture, click, we're done. The other one is something that's been missing from previous drones and is definitely missing from the GoPro Karma, and that is what they call terrain following. Now, if you can imagine you are hiking up a hill or skiing down a mountain and you have a drone in follow me mode, it's going to have a problem because it doesn't know that you're actually coming up or down the mountain. Well, the new DJI MAVIC does know where it is in relation to the ground, and it will stay at a predetermined height. So if you are skiing and you can tell it to say stay 10 feet above me, it'll realise as it's coming down the mountain that the terrain is also coming down, and it'll lower the height with you. This is an amazing feature for people who are like mountain bike racing or something like that. The drone is now going to follow you. You don't have to worry about, when you put it in follow me mode, you don't have to worry about it flying into a rock. The other new feature is something they call tripod mode. Now, they only mentioned this very briefly in the launch video, but what they're basically saying is that it will reduce the sensitivity of the sticks and reduce the speed controls on the drone, so that when you're flying in tight spaces, like where there's rocks and things like that, usually I have experienced this myself, is you just try and be very, very gentle on the controller sticks, and just moving a couple of millimeters will make the drone move like half a meter or a full meter, and if there's a rock face there, bam, in you go. Something else is new, and I'm sort of glad they're doing this, is they're introducing proper full-on FPV headset goggles. Not just one, but two of these goggles can be binded to the drone, so you and a friend can experience full HD 1080p goggles whilst you're flying. Just a note, if you're flying in the UK and you're using FPV goggles, you have to have a spotter who is not wearing goggles, who is there to have eyes on your drone at all times. So they're saying in the MAVIC the battery time is 27 minutes, which is pretty good. It's better than what Karma is saying, and for a little folding drone, that's a pretty good time. Now, comparing it with the GoPro Karma drone, there's a few features that are missing from Karma that DJI have really excelled on, and one of them is live streaming. The ability to take what you're doing, you're flying, take that video and broadcast it live on Facebook, on Periscope, or as a live video on YouTube. And it seems like for the moment GoPro have completely ignored this feature, whereas DJI really excel on it. If you follow my Facebook page or lockylive on Periscope, every week I try to get in a live drone Periscope. It's pretty good to see some interest in it, and there's something special about seeing a video that's live, that's happening right now, and especially on Facebook Live you can interact with the comments. So if I was flying somewhere and someone said, what was that we just missed, you can see the comments on the screen and you can go and follow it and check it out. It's actually happened quite a few times when I've been out flying. It's a pretty good feature. The other one is one I haven't had a lot of experience with, and it's called Sense and Avoid. Now this has been included with the DJI Phantom 4, and I really expected Karma to use it, and it's included with the new DJI Mavic. And what this basically means is that it has a forward sensing cameras and sonar detectors. What they do is they look at the environment, they process the environment in real-time 3D, and they can work out what are objects to avoid. So they know that a tree is a tree, or a lamppost, or a building. So if they're flying along, they'll actually stop you from flying into a wall that maybe you didn't see. This is especially good if you're out on, say, maybe you're skating or you're skiing or you're on a mountain bike and there's a tree that you thought you were higher than, but actually when you get there the drone is going to fly into it. It'll actually stop and go over it. It's a pretty cool feature. I can't believe GoPro have missed that on the Karma drone, because it's hardware. It's not really something they can introduce in the future without a serious add-on. I don't know how they're going to address this, especially with GoPro being an action brand. It's all about taking it skiing, taking it swimming, taking it whatever it is you're doing. You really need something like that so that when you're outside in these environments, you have the drone that's sort of looking at the 3D environment and can sense when there's objects nearby and not crash into them. So the one thing I really wanted DJI to address was the fact that when you buy a GoPro Karma, you get the grip with it. My grip at the moment on my GoPro consists of this. This is what I use, and obviously it has no stabilization whatsoever, so if I'm walking down the street, this is going to bump around with me. And I was super excited to see that the GoPro Karma come with this Karma stick where you take off the Hero 5 and the gimbal, you put it in the stick, you can go around with a fully stabilized video. Now DJI do have a product called the DJI Osmo, and quite recently they've released the DJI Osmo Mobile. So you can take your phone and it goes in one of these super stable sticks, but they haven't really intertwined that with the release of the Mavic. And I think that's really where the competition heats up, because for me, if you are already an action person and you've used a GoPro camera before, you probably might be already semi-interested in a Hero 5, because you want to take it underwater, you want to be able to take it somewhere and strap it to your helmet or whatever it is you want to do, strap it to your dog. And having the option then of having this super stable stick is fantastic. You know, you can now get super smooth footage from the air and super smooth footage from the ground, which is great when you go maybe close up with your friends, when you're rock climbing and you don't want the aerial footage, you want something nice and tight and close up. You still got that super smooth footage. There was no mention at all during the launch today of the DJI Mavic coming with an HDMI output. Now on the DJI Phantom 3 and the Phantom 4, this is an optional extra where on your controller you can replace this thing on the back and you get yourself a HDMI output which can go into any display, give you a 720 output live on a big screen, on a TV or projector or whatever you want to do. Now at the launch they did have live footage from the drones, but they simply haven't mentioned how they were doing that, or if there is a HDMI interface. I'm sure that'll come about in the next few weeks. Flying indoors. Now okay, the GoPro Karma is maybe designed to fly indoors, but on the Phantoms and on the Mavic you have sensors that face straight down, sensors, sonar sensors and a camera sensor, so even looking at the floor it knows when it's moving. And I've used this myself flying in a big old protected church. It was very important. There was a wedding in there. It was very important that I didn't have any mishaps. We got the shot in there, and it was just because I have that camera facing down so that it knows when it's drifting, because obviously inside there's no GPS because there's a roof in the way. Now the prices for the Maverick, it's weird how they've done this. They're releasing it without the controller because you can use it just with your phone, with a Wi-Fi link to your phone, and to buy it without the remote control is $750. I believe it's the same price in the UK, so you're looking at about £750. That is without the remote. To have the remote included is bang on £1,000 or $1,000. And the remote again is very compact. It has these sort of like little legs that poke out the bottom and you slot your phone in. I don't think it's compatible with tablets. This is all about being out there, keeping things nice and small. The DJI MAVIC, would I buy it? Let's see, I don't really have a desire for an adventure drone. I use this to go and get the cinematic shots. I take my time. You know, when I'm out getting the shots, I'll often visit the place 2 or 3 times to make sure I've got the perfect weather conditions. However, if I was a person who was out walking a mountain, out on a bike, doing something activity, maybe like in a kayak, skiing, that sort of thing, and it was a question of what cameras do I take? Do I take the SLR? Do I use my phone? Do I take the drone? Well, this answers that question. Yes, you take the drone because it's so compact. If you need replacement batteries for the Mavic, they cost in at about £75, which is not bad. Replacement batteries for the Phantoms have always been over £100. So it's nice to know that they're really competing with GoPro there. And I think when you're out and about, you do need 3 or 4 batteries, because there's nothing worse than being out there, flying the drone, and then moving to a different location and not having any battery to fly the drone. Don't forget to subscribe to me here on the new channel, Locky Does Tech. I do a vlogging channel as well, which is just Locky Live. But on this channel, we're going to be hands-on and real world with the tech, and hopefully helping you with your technology purchases. So make sure you've got enough knowledge to make a good decision when you're buying something. And also when you've got the products, I'll be giving you tips and tricks to make sure you're getting the most out of them when you're using them as well. So do give us a subscribe. Follow us on the social media. As I say, I do live what they call drone scopes on Periscope once a week, weather permitting, and also on the Facebook page as well. So please do give us a little follow on there. I will have a new video on this channel in a couple of weeks, just looking at the various options for buying a drone for Christmas, how many different types of drones there are, the prices and what you get for your money. I'll have that for you very shortly. Thanks for your time for today, and we'll see you soon.